I was like, Max, when did they have a child? And Max is back. Did something happen? Like, we're jumping back into the Shadowhunter universe. If you've been around here long enough, you know I've been reading my way through the Shadowhunter universe. I've started back with the beginning of the Mortal Instruments, was the City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. We then jumped into Red Scrolls of Magic in there, and then we also pivoted over into the Infernal Devices with Clockwork, Angel, Prince, and Princess. And then we rounded back out and went and finished the rest of the Mortal Instruments, City of Fallen Angels, Lost Souls, and Heavenly Fire. And now we are up to the Bane Chronicles. And in the Bane Chronicles, we explore more of Magnus Bane. Who else would be one of our favorite characters in this book but the flamboyant Magnus Bane? This is a collection of short stories kind of filling in Magnus's backstory. And since he's one of my favorite characters, I think I'm really going to like this. I have started the first one, which is what really happened in Peru. We never really get an answer, which I feel like is on brand for Magnus. We don't ever really get a full answer on what really happened in Peru. So I'm quite interested, but it does bring in some other characters we've met along the way in the universe so far. Ragnar Fell, Tessa, you know, all the good ones. So it's been interesting read thus far. I finished the Bane Chronicles yesterday. Honestly, these read super quick. Each short story in here is roughly, I would say, between 40 and 50 pages. Might be a little bit more than 50 pages for each, but there's 11 of them in here. I really enjoyed them. I think it gives us great insight to Magnus's character more and like give us more of a background, especially because, you know, he got up into a lot of shenanigans shit. You know he did. But as I was reading this, through like the first part of it, I was getting the sense, I'm like, does this man literally just travel back and forth between New York City and London to live? I mean, there's like one where he's like living in Paris, but like, it just seems like he's like hopping back and forth across the pond between these two cities, London and New York. And he's like, I'm gonna live here now for a few years. Now I'm gonna live here for a few years. Kind of get that sense until the Lightwoods kind of take over the New York Institute, and then it seems like he stays. At least we don't get much after he's kind of like meets them, you know, the Lightwoods. He kind of meets them and then seems to stay in New York. There's like a gap in there until he meets Alec. And let me tell you, the last few stories are of him and Alec, and that is gold. I love them as a couple. They are quite literally my favorite couple in this entire universe because I just love them. I love the banter between them. I don't know how to describe it really, but like I love the interactions between Alex and Magnus, and it's such a fun interaction. And we also see some of Tessa in this one. So, you know, Tessa from the Clockwork, Angel, Prince, and Princess books, the Infernal Devices, she also plays a role in this one, so I do like that. And we get a little bit more of some of the other warlocks that have been mentioned in the series so far. So I really did enjoy this one. I give it 5 stars. I'm really enjoying this one. And the next one is Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I don't have this one physically, but I did get it from my library. So I'm going to be reading that, and I'm not quite sure what time frame these tales are going to be from, so I guess we'll find out. Good morning. I have a bit of an update. So I started Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. This is one of another like collection of short stories in the Shadowhunter universe, and in this one we are at the Shadowhunter Academy, which closed years before, but it is mentioned briefly in the books before where like Valentine, Jocelyn, Luke, Maurice, Robert, you know, the whole people who wanted to, you know, kill all the Downworlders and then try to repent, you know, that gang, they all met at the academy, and they shortly closed the academy afterwards. But we are now back at the academy because they've reopened it after the Dark War, the war between Valentine / Sebastian and the rest of them, and Dark and Shadowhunters. And, you know, after that, all of their ranks have greatly been reduced because of all the institutes that Sebastian took over. And they've reopened the academy, and there are some Shadowhunter kids there who are like lost, don't have a lot of training, but they have some, and they are accepting new people like mundanes to go and enter the academy to ascend by drinking from the mortal cup and becoming Shadowhunters to rebuild their numbers. And one of the people that we are following in that is Simon from the original Mortal Instruments books. And it's like starts off with like, you know, he has like amnesia because at the end of it, the Mortal Instruments, the City of Heavenly Fire, he gives up his memories, his vampire immortal thing, to just be a normal one day, and they kind of like bring him back, and he like remembers bits and pieces. He, you know, he has like some amnesia with it. Demon amnesia is what he's been calling it, and he's trying to like kind of figure himself back out and figure out like, how was I this like amazing hero, great guy before when he doesn't remember any of it? And I'm not sure I'm really vibing with it. Like, I think I like the original Simon, but like now with this amnesia, maybe he'll grow on me as he like learns stuff, because like he's remembering some things. Like he remembered who Jordan Kyle is now, but I'm just not vibing with Simon and this amnesia thing, and I don't really like the other Shadowhunters. I really want someone to put Jonathan Cartwright in his fucking place and tell him he's a fucking loser. Because him trying to pretend he knows Jace, I'm like, buddy, all it takes is Jace to go, who are you? Like, why are you lying about this? But I'm not really vibing with it yet. I am into the third story, which I am enjoying the third story the most so far, because in this third, the first two stories were kind of like Simon and like them like coming back. Although I kind of want to know who the vampire they killed is in the second story, because like it never says, but they knew who Simon was. They kept calling him Daylighter, but that's beside the point. We're in the third story, and Tessa Gray is back, which I love her from the Infernal Devices, and she is telling the story of Jack the Ripper and what really was Jack the Ripper, you know, in their universe. So I'm actually really enjoying that one. I mean, there's like parts where we come back to Simon and they talk a little bit, but like for the most part, it's Tessa telling the story, and I'm really enjoying the story the most so far. Hi guys, it's been a while since I updated this vlog, like months. So I don't even think I ever talked about it, but I did end up reading Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, which is a short story collection. And I kind of just didn't talk to her about, because like everything else I've read so far in the Shadowhunter is like 5 stars, and this one was a 3. So it's a collection of short stories. First of all, I'm not a big fan of short stories to begin with, so I know I'm harsher on short stories just because I don't tend to actually like them. One just like wasn't it, and I think because most of it focuses on Simon, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a Simon girly. He's okay, and like he's okay with Izzy, but he's not really with Izzy anymore in them because of like everything that happens. You know, he has amnesia and he lost his memory, and they're like hitting a rough patch, I guess you want to say. But yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of short stories, and it's all about Simon, and he's changed from his normal character because of the amnesia. Like, you know, all that character building that was done in Mortal Instruments is basically stripped away. I'm a big fan of it, which is why I never really talked about it, because I was like, I kind of just, so I started out reading it, and then I switched to the audiobook because I was like, I can't just keep reading these, because I'm not a big short story person, and the easiest way for me to get through short stories is to honestly do audiobooks, because then I don't realize like how short they are and stuff. We're going to get into a different one. We're going to get into The Lost Book of the White. So this is book 2 in the Eldest Curses one. So the first one was Red Schools of Magic, which I read quite a while ago at this point. But I'm excited to get back into this one because this is going to have Magnus and Alex, and they were two of my favorite characters. So let's get into this. Life is good for Magnus Fane and Alec Lightwood. That is, until the night that 2 old acquaintances break into Magnus's apartment and steal the powerful Book of the White. Now Magnus and Alex will have to drop everything to follow the thieves to Shanghai to get it back. Also, someone has stabbed Magnus with a strange magical weapon that is changing the very nature of his powers. Fortunately, they have a backup in the form of Clary, Jace, Isabel, and Simon. In Shanghai, they learn that a much darker threat awaits them. Magnus's magic is growing unstable, and if they can't stop the demons flooding into the city, they might have to follow them all the way back to the source, to the very realm of the dead. And guys, they already had to go to hell, you know? At the end of the Mortal Instruments, they already had to go to hell. So like, what's going to hell anyways again? But I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this one. It's pretty short, but the print is kind of small in it. I realized, I was like, ooh, that print looks smaller than my Mortal Instruments one. But it's okay. I think we're gonna go ahead and get into this, and I'm excited for this one because I adore Magnus so much. I have to do some meal prep for work tomorrow, but I thought I'd give you guys an update on The Lost Book of the White. So this is the first time reading this one, and it's taken me a bit more to process it because it's the first time I read it. Because up until this point, up until like this video, I pretty much read all of these books before, with the exception of Red Scrolls of Magic when I read that one. This is all new to me now, so now I have to like think. And because I read Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy all the way back in February, I forgot that Alex and Magnus adopted a baby named Max. I was like, Max, when did they have a child? And Max is back. Did something happen? Like, I was very confused for a second. And then they mentioned the Warlock baby, and I was like, oh yeah, Max. They named him Max after Max. I get it. But then they also drop in here pretty early on that Tessa and Jem got married, and I don't know how to feel about that. I was not a Jem girly, you know? Like, he was okay, but like, he was dying, and I didn't see the romance with him, you know? And then he was a silent brother for so long. I didn't see the romance part of it. But you can see I'm a good chunk of the way through this book. I actually read a good chunk of it today. Like, I probably read at least 100 pages today. I wanted to finish it. Probably not gonna happen tonight, but that's okay. I think I can finish this pretty early on in the week, and we can go from there. But like, that's all I have left. It's just that chunk right there. But I'm really enjoying it so far. We're meeting some new characters, but we're also bringing back some of the old ones. And I feel like I'm okay with this one. So I think my biggest problem with, like I mentioned with Tales for the Shadowhunter Academy, is that I wasn't really into Simon's point of view. Simon in this one is fine because he's a minor character. He's like a side character. I didn't like Simon being the main character that we're following. Pretty much, if it wasn't like Jace and Clary, I wasn't really interested in it, except for like Infernal Vices. That one was interesting following Tessa, but this one following Agnes and Alec are like perfect to me because they are one of my favorite couples in this whole series. Like, honestly, I'm actually really happy with, in general, with the couples that have been in this one, except for when Clary and Simon were dating, because like, again, I was not a Simon girl either. But this is going well. I'm hopefully gonna pick it up yet tonight for a little bit, wind down before bed and read it. All right, but like I said, but I finished Lost Book of the White. I'm gonna give this one 4.5. I think I gave Red Scrolls of Magic 5 stars. I'm gonna give this one 4.5. I did like that in this one we kind of followed more of Magnus as opposed to Red Scrolls of Magic. We kind of followed Alex. So I did like having a book from each of their perspectives, especially because this is just a duology. Also, I didn't mention it, but spoiler. So you believe when we're back in the Mortal Instance where Ragnarfell was dead? Like, they found his burned house, like, was in disarray and burned and whatnot. So he faked his death, guys. We found that out in like the beginning of this book. I didn't mention that, but like, he faked the whole damn thing. And the thought that had to go into this universe to connect something that is this far down the line, when that happened like 7 books ago, the thought process this had to go through. I'm just saying, I'm kind of impressed. But overall, very enjoyable read. I did like seeing the little bit of Alec, Magnus, and Max little family bonding. And I did like having the other cast of characters in there. Of course, Simon had to get kidnapped, you know, because, you know what, even though he's a Shadowhunter now, Simon's still we gotta save Simon. still, you know, it's been going since book 1, we gotta save Simon. So, like, yeah. But I'm excited to go ahead and get into the next one. I believe if I pull it up here, let's see, I probably don't even have it pulled up. I probably have my 90 Day Fiancé one pulled up. I do. So I have a thing for 90 Day Fiancé where I'm watching everything. Okay, it says I should read Lady Midnight next, which I think is pretty chunky, but I do have it over there on my shelf. So I'm probably gonna try to, let's be honest, I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. Okay, the goal is this summer, but I am still having a very enjoyable time getting through the series, and I am bound and determined to finally finish this universe, hopefully this year.